Restaurant workers of Reddit, what is the worst thing you have seen done to a customer's order? I know a guy that pissed in a bucket of pickles. He would have never been caught if he didn't talk about it. Pour the whole tray of drinks over a guest, twice. International trade fair with students as waiters. First time was an accident. Second time she was so nervous she was practically shaking and spilled the drinks again on the same guy. I had a buddy at McDonald's, a real chaotic type, who every once in a while would say, "Oh hey, guess what time it is, pickle surprise," and put a whole handful of pickles on a random cheeseburger. I worked at a popular fast food chain in my younger years. It was my first time with closing shift and we were all doing our part to clean and prep the store. I see this lady with a mop and bucket come out of the back, slop it onto the griddle and start mopping it. I was appalled. I went and told the manager and she tells me, well, that's the quickest way to clean it, then scolded me for worrying about things that didn't concern me. I quit that job next day and then called the district office and told them what happened. That location closed down not long after, but the franchise still exists. Worked in a fast food pizza joint. Nothing without consent of the customer happened. But customers ask some weird stuff. One time a customer asked for extra chili and emphasized a lot, so of course we put like a lot on it. Another person wanted chicken legs and wanted it extra crisp. He kept sending it back until it was pretty much burned, which is when he found it perfect. The worst one was a woman asked to put her pasta in a blender, because she had just gotten prosthetics and couldn't properly eat. It looked disgusting. One time we had a woman call back because her rotisserie chicken was burnt. I explained it's just charred because of the way it's cooked. She wasn't having it, so we agreed to get her a new one. 10 minutes after her husband left she called back even more pissed, saying this one was worse. We told her to send her husband back again for a new one. The manager and I went and back, with gloves on, and scrapped off all the burnt parts. I shit you not, another 10 minutes after he leaves she calls again, but this time her rice didn't have any craisins on it. So once again I tell her to send him back. I dumped so many fucking craisins on that rice I think she got the point and we never saw them again. I know it's not super gross, but it's pretty rare to see someone maliciously fuck with someone's food. I have seen cooks use the 5-second rule when dropping food or not washing hands, but that's about it in my 7 years in the industry. The worst thing I ever did to a rude customer was give them exactly what they want. "Oh, you were a huge bitch to my staff and ask for extra pickles? You get 25 pickles." I have cooked for 20 years and have never heard of or seen someone spit in food or do anything gross like that. That is simply not cool, and not what we are about. Teenagers in fast food may be the exception to this rule, but I sure fucking hope not. Tampering with food is not that common. I've been in the business a long time and only worked with one girl who spat in someone's food. Another server saw her and she got reported and fired immediately. The only other thing that sometimes happens is when people get cocky and ask for extremely spicy food, the kitchen staff turns into evil geniuses. A guy once asked me for wings so spicy that they would give a woman a miscarriage. I relayed those lovely instructions to the kitchen and I don't know what they did, but the sauce was burning my nose and making my eyes water as I carried it out. He was not able to finish his wings. At my last restaurant job, my coworker would make very ugly sundaes for customers who were rude. For particularly nice customers, she would painstakingly recreate the sundaes in the menu pictures and give them extra cream and sprinkles. Some Indian guys came in one time and asked for us to make their food as spicy as possible. I told them that's going to be extremely spicy and wanted to make sure they knew what they were asking for. They went on a long rant about how Indian restaurants are the only places that actually know what spicy is, and anything we bring out isn't going to be close to how spicy they like their food. So I had the owner come over to tell them that we'll try our best, but there won't be any refund on this food if it's too spicy. So we made them chicken fried rice with Trinidad scorpion peppers. After 2 bites and about 10 glasses of soy milk later, they ordered something else. I worked at Tim Hortons, and a girl who worked there thought it was a great idea to staple a bag in which boiled eggs came in. That was a decade or more ago, when they had egg sandwiches. Don't know if they still have them. As I watched her do it, I told her that she probably shouldn't do it, but she ignored me as she hated everyone and everything. She was not a pleasant person to work with. Well, the next day a customer who was dining in brings her sandwich with a staple in it. She was puzzled as to how that staple got in there. I told the customer to call the corporate office and complain. I was fed up with that particular worker, and the fact that they kept her working there was just mind-boggling. She was so rude to all customers, and hated being there every day. Thanks to that nasty girl though, I got a new job, because she was so nasty to one of the customers that I took over serving that particular customer and made sure to have her order before she even walked onto our TH. After a few weeks of me having her order ready, she would always come at the same time, and I saw her car pulling and would start her order right away. She offered me a job that paid twice as much and where I met lovely people that I still keep in touch with, over 15 years later. I worked in a very well-known fast food chain for a while. My favorite example of this actually involved nothing. The person who bought food had been rude to staff on multiple occasions. The person serving went to get their food, popped round the corner in a noticeable way, then returned having done nothing. He gave the food to him with a huge grin on his face and said enjoy. He then watched the person throw it in the bin when he went outside. I haven't worked in a restaurant in over 15 years. I never messed with anyone's food because that is assault. What I used to do to snotty Karen types is give them a senior discount and announce to the table when I dropped the check that I remembered to add the senior discount. This isn't really bad, but a lot of the times when people send food back and there's clearly nothing wrong with it, the chefs will just rearrange the food on the plate, wait a minute or two and then send it out to the table. The funniest part is when the customer says that it's better. Worked in a deli for a few years. I never tampered with anyone's food, but if you were a dick I guaranteed your bread was over-toasted, the lettuce on your sandwich was wilted, the tomato was the butt end with the hole from us removing the core, your onions were little pieces, the meat was the smallest of the portions, and on and on. I wouldn't tamper with someone's food, but I damn well wasn't making them a good sandwich. And all of that goes the exact opposite way with the customers I liked. Always gave them the best product to the point they would wait for me to help them. I gave them what they ordered. We were a pizza/Italian/bar restaurant. Our menu was ludicrously large and essentially anything that was on the menu that could go on a pizza was listed as a topping. Probably 40 to 50 topping choices. I would get asked pretty often for a pizza with everything on it. I had a usual joke or two to find out what they really wanted. Typically a deluxe, but then they'd want no black olives or whatever. No big deal, until the asshole came in that ordered everything and then proceeded to ask if I was red hash when I questioned him. My sister has disabilities, so I didn't appreciate his tact. Told my boss about it and he smiled and said get him a pizza with everything. brought it out and gave it to him. He flipped out and demanded the manager, of course. My manager had my back and gave the guy his bill, which at $2 a topping was well over a $100 pizza. Guy refused to pay. Cops got called. Yada yada yada. I hope he enjoyed his pizza with clams, pineapple, buffalo chicken, broccoli, anchovies, green olives, cream cheese, cauliflower, jalapenos, shrimp. I worked for Applebee's for 7 years, and not until my last year did I witness this act. One of the cooks would drop down to one pair of tongs for the grill station for closing. He used the same tongs for raw chicken, beef, seafood, and cooked food. He would swish the tongs in his sanitizing solution, that looked like soup since he never changed it, claiming that it was good after that. I called him out on it and he told me that he never told me how to cook, so I should let him be. I told management too and it was swept under the rug like everything else. I quit shortly after, but that was the only time I witnessed something fucking disgusting like that. Worked in restaurants for over 10 years. It's pretty rare that you see people mess with sumi in a food, but it does happen occasionally. The most memorable was once when a customer made a waitress cry complaining about their food and sent it back. The chef farted on the remake. It got a lot of laughs. More common is if a customer is an asshole. When they order dessert, you find the smallest slice of cheesecake you can. Worked at a movie theater for a while. Our pizzas came frozen in a large bag of many pizzas, so the contents sometimes got shifted around during shipping. One dude was acting like it was the end of the world because he got there late, hungry, and had to wait in line. He ordered a pepperoni pizza, so my coworker went to the freezer, pulled out a pizza with one slice of pepperoni on it, and tossed that sucker into the oven. The guy eventually got a refund, but that must have felt good to see the reaction from him. When I bartended, the worst thing I ever did to an order was pour illegal pork instead of being generous. The worst way I treated a customer was that once I refused to pick up the 2 dimes and a nickel he tried to tip me for his $14 drink, and when he said, "Hey, my man, this is for you," I replied with the terse, "Keep it, you clearly need that money more than I do. People don't fuck with your food or drink. That's our job. We take pride in that. If you piss us off, we'll just refuse to serve you." Not food related. I worked at a restaurant that had a free photographer. They would print little postcards for free, but if you wanted the pictures printed they would charge a surplus for the printing. They used Photoshop to make the prints, so the artists would touch up the pics that they took before printing. Well, I had a party of 20 come in. A wedding party. They were super rude and only tipped $7 on their $500 check. I gave all $7 to the photographer, and he made the bride look fat. There's this lady and her daughter that come into my restaurant. Every time I've ever served them, they make you run. "We need more ranch, I want another margarita, extra ketchup, etc etc etc. My favorite was the time when I asked if they wanted ranch with their wings. "Nope," and then literally as soon as I brought the wings, "Oh, and we need ranch," and they never tip, or if they do it's insultingly low. Like once the tab was $48.50 and they gave me a $50 and I brought the change back and the daughter, who was in her mid-20s, smirks and says, "Oh, no, that's for you, sweetie." I left it there and walked away without a word. Now whenever they come in they just take forever to get served, and their margaritas, that they drink like water, mostly cause they may as well be, are probably about half strength compared to what everyone else that don't act like cunts towards the staff get. Their food sits under heat lamps getting stale for a while. The kitchen is aware of this and the reason for it, and they're on board since these bitches send food back all the time claiming it's wrong even though it was made exactly to order, and of course they always waited until it was more than half eaten to complain. I genuinely cannot stand them. The younger always just smirks when she orders things like she thinks that you're such a pleb for being a server. I worked at a Taco Bell that used to be a combo Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, so it had this hood for the oven that was no longer there. One super tall guy used to rest his gloved hands up there between orders then make food. Once, to prove a point, I wiped it down to show him how dirty it was. He said great, now it's clean also. Night shift would put dirty cardboard boxes on the fryer area to put the fried food to cool so they could wash the tray. There was once a footprint on the box. I have more stories. Don't eat fast food at night. I had a customer rudely berate me in front of the whole restaurant because I didn't prioritize her over other tables. I had a full section and was giving everyone equal attention, and doing quite well. Everyone got their food and drinks on time and with a smile. This lady was just on a serious power trip. She said if you can't handle a job as easy as this one, you must be a real loser. I offered free chips and salsa as compensation for her perceived delays, which she accepted with a hopefully you'll bring it before tomorrow. I brought it out immediately and then proceeded to trip and fall, dousing her in her white sweater in salsa. Oops, it was delightful. Not a customer but a CO worker had her chicken tenders dropped in a cleaning bucket and then kicked down the cook's line. Kitchens near colleges really were a place of horror. I've been a server, bartender for almost 15 years, and I have literally never seen food be tampered with maliciously. This is taken very seriously by every chef I've ever worked for. To further illustrate this, I have also never seen a chef or cook wear gloves while handling food, because that's seen as unprofessional and childish. Chefs think of it along the lines of latex and PVC gloves are for children who can't be trusted to run a clean station unsupervised. If you give the tiniest inkling that your workstation is unsanitary, or you don't constantly wash your hands, you would be immediately fired. Granted, I worked for more upscale places, but service workers past a certain age, and in these environments consider themselves to be professionals. And honestly, anyone who tells you serving and smiling at people that treat you like shit, or working a 12-hour shift in a 115 degrees kitchen with breaks if and when you have time is unskilled labor has probably never done any real labor in their life. Not a restaurant, but the prepared foods section of a highly regarded grocery store. Someone forgot to toss the old potato salad that was on its fourth day. It needs to be thrown out at the end of the third day. We were supposed to keep track of the stuff religiously. The manager told my coworker to just mix it in with the brand new stuff. So people were eventually being given 6-day-old potato salad. I guess worse things could have happened, but I'm squeamish about food, so it really bothered me. It's not really that bad, but lots of restaurants are guilty. The little date, des, or timestamp stickers on wrappers and salads. Look closely next time. If there's one stuck on top of the other, or if there's more than one mark on the wrapper, your food has probably expired. Sometimes this is done because the food actually is still good and it's a shame to waste it. But other times it's a lazy worker who doesn't want to make more food, or a greedy owner who doesn't want to lose 3 cents. The type of stickers and labels vary by restaurant. Sometimes stamps look like clocks and some are a line of numbers 112, with a mark through the one where the item expires. Example, if your sandwich has a mark through the 11, and it's now 3 o'clock, your sandwich expired 5 minutes ago. But honestly, it's probably still good. Check your timestamps, people. I worked at Papa John's as a teenager. There was this one particular old dude that was loud and rude to whoever helped him every single time. He showed his ass immediately to this new guy and told him there better not be a fucking pepper in my box or me and you will have a problem, and the new dude was visibly upset. You know those little peppers that come with pizzas? So I grabbed the biggest, juiciest one and was going to put it in the box beside the old guy's, but I may or may not have accidentally squeezed it a bit. Some of the juice may or may not have leaked all over the guy's food while I was carrying it over to the next box, and I may or may not have noticed. Oops. Was over 10 years ago. I worked at a golf course restaurant. One of my female co-workers had some crude shit said to her by one of the old golfers, something along the lines of with an ass like that you shouldn't be in the kitchen, you should be on the course serving us beers. Then he ordered a ham sandwich on the turn to the back 9. She licked the fuck out of that ham before putting it on the sandwich, then wrapped it in saran wrap, punched it, and went out and handed it to him herself.